for quite a few years, 17-ish, 18-ish. And I've had a variety of positions, done a bunch of things. I've worked in corporate, from leading the Metro Detroit market, several locations to one of our past companies, and I'm now at Quicken. I opened a HR consulting company, and it is not an easy feat. So with that, I'm still doing it, taking assignments. However, later in life, you have children, you're married, that type of thing, and my husband said, okay, so we got a couple options. We can keep going straight consulting, and we can change our budget at home. We got to change the lifestyle a little bit, or you can. I'm like, hold on, let me put an application somewhere, and we can start, getting the business off the ground a little bit later, maybe slower. So that's what I'm doing now. So Dr. Meadows asked us to come up, the speakers to come up with topics or the topic for our presentation. He gave us, I think, like 25 minutes to do it and send it back and all that. So I'm sitting, maybe 20. But so I'm trying to figure out, like, what could a topic be for talking about mentoring millennials. So as I'm going over topics, I'm trying out different things, I'm bouncing ideas off of my husband. I have a 2-year-old and I have a 5-year-old. And so my 5-year-old is listening, acting like he's not, but he is, and he's listening, and I'm saying, what about if we do coloring outside the lines, and I changed the color of the title slide to my son in kindergarten, and he said, Mommy, everybody knows you're not supposed to color outside the lines. And it made me stop and think about what does it mean to color outside the line. So I'm gonna ask you that, I'm gonna pose that question to you. Coloring outside the lines, what does that mean to you?
Being going against the grain.
Thinking outside the box.
No, thinking outside the box.
Creativity.
Creativity.
Not doing what's expected.
Exactly.
Let me go and get you rebellious.
I can be described as that sometimes.
Wow.
So, exactly. So coloring outside the lines, for me, is having established boundaries. Having established boundaries, and established boundaries aren't necessarily things that are written in stone, but things, maybe traditions, or things that have always been going a certain way, so we just keep going that route, and boundaries kind of form. So when I thought about mentoring millennials are different than any other generation that I've worked with. And I'm going to go through some of the slides. A lot of the information you've already seen, so I can kind of go through a little bit quickly, but I still want to touch on them. So the learning objectives today would be, number one, I want you guys to be able to walk away being able to identify characteristics of millennials, and also to cultivate effective mentoring relationships. And as I got this part of the presentation completed, and I'm talking to, I work with a lot of millennials, lots, and I had a conversation, and I said, hey, can you hand me my phone? And I was trying to do like the push the numbers and all that. Anyway, so this came up, and I'm gonna ask you guys. The first time you saw this symbol, what did you call it? Pound sign? Where the millennials? Hashtag. Do you know how long it took? I promise you, it took me like maybe at least a couple hours to figure out what a hashtag was. When I was like, what is a hashtag? And then when my niece is 11, and I told her to push the pound sign, she's like, pound. And then that led to a whole different conversation. And in the same week, we had this. When typing, how many times should you press space after the period?
Twice.
One.
Well, the new development is one. It used to be 2.
Yes. Yes. You know why? You know why one? Think about this. How many characters you allow when you're tweeting? Well, how, so things. And also, I learned too when I took a typing class. So, see, it's a rabbit hole. You're gonna go Google it later, I'm sure. Okay, this is my first one. Oh, let me go back. Before GPS, how did you get directions? How do you know where you're going? AAA, go to the counter. I'm going to Cedar Point.
Gloria,
We were very
go to AAA to get it.
math while we were driving.
Yes.
We
You just got
Now,
lost.
of course, that's later in the game, man. That's later in the game. That's modern.
But use a map or call and ask for directions after locating the contact number in the yellow book, or by calling information.
Yeah.
Is there anyone here who does not know what information is? Call it
Some of they don't know what that is.
So this is an interesting. I mean, it's so interesting because I have a niece who's 11 and a nephew who's 12. So my sister and I were talking about this as I'm putting the presentation together, and we're talking, and so my niece is listening, of course, always, and she said, "Mom, when you're talking about information, what is TT saying? Why does she keep calling it information?" She's like, "Is she talking about Siri?" And I'm like, "I was like, Siri." So then that led us to talk about the internet, and it led us to talk about looking up information on Google, and Google really didn't exist when we were younger. And so my niece said, "Well, how did you do book reports?" So I said we had encyclopedias, and she's like, "Encyclopedia what?"
This really hard.
And then I said, "Yeah." And my sister said the man used to come door to door and sell them to us. And so she's like, "How did he carry all those books? And why didn't he just like use a laptop?" Or she just could not comprehend or understand like we didn't have any of that. So all that to say is that's recognizing the gap. So knowing that we've had all of these technological advances from last generation to our current generations to the previous generation, where does that leave us now? So it's also called the silent generation, but traditionalists, they were born, we kind of talked about this already as far as the ages, so it's born from 1928 to 1945. Baby boomers, so those are now roughly 54 to 73 years old.